When it comes to any video game franchise, things are always subject to change from the time something's announced to the time that the game actually releases. And Halo is definitely no exception to this. Matter of fact, Halo actually has a very interesting history when it comes to officially released marketing material versus things that we actually get in the game. And sometimes things are just outright wrong. Whether it's a disconnect from a marketing team at a publisher like Microsoft to what the intention of the actual game is, or it's just something that changed in development, sometimes these little nuanced differences from what is presented to what we get can be really interesting to look at. And it's not a diss at any Halo game that's ever fallen into this, but some of these things are really incredibly interesting. So let's take a closer look at some of these. But guess what? This video is sponsored by Black Squad, which is a free-to-play military first-person shooter game available on Steam, known for being a play-to-win FPS game, so the only thing that matters between winning and losing is your own skill ability. And now they just released Black Squad Royal Road, which is available for any Black Squad fans to check out, and since the game's client size is comparably compact, Royal Road is less affected by the network environment and your PC specifications. So essentially for free, you can jump in and play this military shooter that have a ton of weapons, maps, characters, and really cool skins that are based on historical relics. There's cool popular modes like TDM, Demolition, or Arms Race, for example. Also, they have a new weapons and character tuning systems so you can enjoy your personalized loadouts. And a mode called Supermatch, which is a new special battle type where players can gather tokens and compete for ranking. Remember, whenever a brand wants to sponsor us at Rocket Sloth, if you guys go and just give the game a try, it shows that them sponsoring Rocket Sloth was a good idea. So go check out the link down below and then let us know what you think. Okay, so let's start by looking at things from Halo Combat Evolved. And this is the one that inspired the whole idea for this video. But if you look on the front cover of Halo CE itself, you'll see these two Banshees. And as it turns out, these Banshees are actually, as we can tell from in-game, Banshees that don't actually have any drivers in it. They use the model of the Banshee that's open, ready for anyone to jump in, as the model that they picked out to be recreated in the cover art. It's something not that significant, but hey, it's still an example of this. Also, if we look back at this really old Combat Evolved TV commercial from back in the day, there's this interesting moment where Master Chief is standing on a bridge and there's like an explosion in the background and just all this extra stuff that definitely doesn't happen in the game. Obviously, they're dramatizing it to get you hyped for this new game called Halo, but it's fun to look back all this time later and be like, hey, that actually didn't quite happen. This next one also is for Combat Evolved, but it doesn't quite necessarily count as a marketing thing, but I just wanted to point it out. But if you look at the game level description for Assault on the Control Room, the description tells you to defend the control room, which seem like two pretty big contradictions, don't you think, right there? Halo 2 had quite a few interesting little things that had happened over its promotional time period. As you may know, there was the whole E3 demo from 2003, which never was at all a part of the game. This was scrapped shortly after E3, so this whole level and sequence that was shown off wasn't a part of the game. Also, it's worth noting that they did do a little special trailer during that time that showed just footage from the same demo, and none of this is actually in the game. But things also would change from other points of Halo 2's pre-game development as well. For instance, the initial trailer, even announcing Halo 2 that came out in 2002, we see Master Chief jumping into space, but he doesn't have the bomb that he pulls into space with him like he does in the actual in-game cutscene. Because originally in Halo 2's storyline, Master Chief would jump from the ship and then land on the Covenant ship. There would be a whole level in the Covenant ship and then he'd blow it up. But instead they had to cut that, so they just had Master Chief throw the bomb at the ship. So that's why this original trailer is different, even though it's pre-rendered. Another little thing that's worth noting is if you look in this Halo 2 trailer, you can see the reflection in Master Chief's visor. It was something that obviously they really wanted to include in Halo 2, though due to limitations, I don't think they could get it right in time, so we never actually had that fully shiny reflective visor from the trailer that we see here. By the time Halo 3 would roll around, that visor being reflective would exist. So another thing from original Halo 2 promotion that didn't quite end up living up to the pre-release stuff. Also, it seems like ODSTs were originally going to play a bigger role in some capacity of Halo 2. For instance, there is a lot of promotional material or concept arts that show ODSTs alongside Master Chief. There was the whole Day at the Beach short thing that was used later to promote stuff, which was just like a long cinematic with a bunch of ODSTs surviving in old Mombasa together. Also, Also, there's this interesting concept art of ODSTs just jumping out of their pods before they land on the ground, which is a little wild. I feel like that'd be dangerous. What if you land and then your pod lands on you? I mean, I guess the pod would be falling faster than you, maybe? But then why would you jump out? It doesn't quite make sense. So, interestingly enough, this obviously didn't end up actually happening in the game. Though, if you look at the back cover of Halo 2, the box itself, you do see Master Chief on what appears to be the level outskirts, and he's standing alongside two ODSTs who are shooting at some stuff, which doesn't actually happen in the level. At no point in the game do you ever fight alongside ODSTs while on Earth. Okay, this next one doesn't count, but I just thought it was funny because this whole Halo 2 commercial uses a bunch of voice lines from in the game, but there's one voice line that definitely is not in the game. Can you spot it? Can you hear it?
We ran from them. They followed. We thought they'd never find us.
There are those who said this day would never come. What are they to say now?
No enemy has ever withstood our might.
Rated M for mature.
Leave a comment if you know which voice line did not make it into the final version of the game. Also, in Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, we can look at the helmet that is presented on the front cover and realize that it's not at all representative of what the helmet actually looks like in game for either the old or the new graphics. The visor is definitely much smaller and the shape of the helmet overall is quite different. We do know that during development the helmet went through many revisions, and it's possible that the front cover art was designed well before they finally landed on which helmet they were going to use for the in-game version, but still, this helmet's not a thing. Would be a really cool cosmetic to be added into MCC one day though. Halo 3 ODST's another really interesting one. Not only was the first reveal trailer for the game a really cool pre-rendered concept trailer, which gets the feel and vibe and atmosphere down perfectly, representing what the game would be like, though story-wise it doesn't quite line up, as we know the rookie doesn't crash land inside of a building, he's kind of on top of a building and then free falls, you know, a couple feet. It's interesting, typically live action or pre-rendered cutscenes when it comes to Halo are utilized in a way that either tells a prequel story or some other story so it doesn't conflict with the actual in-game experience. Kind of how ODST slightly does, even though it wasn't a big deal. But we can look at things like the Starry Night trailer or the Deliver the Hope trailer for Halo Reach. Really awesome trailers, and they didn't have any conflicting issues with the plot, as they both take place before the main trailer. But if we look to Halo 4's reveal trailer, we do obviously know that this trailer plays out much differently than the experience you have in game. Once again, the vibe is more or less the same, so it's really not that big of a deal, but things get taken a step further when we look at Halo 5's trailer, where some people may argue that this trailer just ever so slightly is inaccurate to the events that actually happen in the game. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but let us know. Do you feel like this trailer was accurate to the game? Also, Halo 3 ODST had these pre-mission evaluations, which were these weird like 3D videos that would go into the interviews of some members of Alpha 9, though this ends up getting contradicted in the story lore later on, so it's not canon, but it's interesting that we do see these evaluations existing as marketing material. Halo Wars has a few really interesting ones. There's this really interesting promotional artwork that shows a scarab on the battlefield, though this is actually the Halo 2 scarab, and it would later be changed to the Halo 3 scarab by the time the game released. Also, we can see that there's cut brute tanks and elite rangers in this image, which aren't actually in the game. This one is concept art, so it really doesn't count like some of those Halo 2 things we talked about earlier, but it's interesting to look at nonetheless. With Halo Wars 2, there's this beautiful looking concept art image, except you might notice there's some flying ghosts just vibing out over there. On the Halo 5 Guardians cover art, you may notice the city in the background that isn't really there, unless this is supposed to be saying Helios. It doesn't really look the same, but maybe. But yeah, the city is questionable at best, but this Banshee right here is actually the point of interest we really want to take a closer look at. This Banshee is not at all the model of Banshee that's found in Halo 5 Guardians. Matter of fact, this is the Halo 3 Banshee, just pasted in the Halo 5 Guardians cover. This one probably broke so many people's hearts back in the day, but way back at the E3 2012 presentation, Microsoft and 343 showed off Halo 4 campaign footage, and you may not have ever noticed this, but in this this trailer, you can carry 4 grenades of each type, which is amazing. And in the campaign, they reduced that down to 2. Yeah, it's pretty earth-shattering. There's also this really old vidoc, which technically does serve as official promotional material that shows them playing custom games on a mysterious map called Warthog Inc., which has its own history of being a cut map, but it is kind of funny that we never did get a custom map called Warthog Inc. And I know on this channel it might seem like we talk back and forth about the trailers nonstop, but we never did get to see Poncho Chief in game, and I kind of really want to see it. Imagine an updated Poncho Chief, and they explain why the poncho is needed for Master Chief, despite him having 1,000-pound armor. Okay, this next one is probably really nitpicky, but in the Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn movie miniseries that they did, the poster says the story of Halo 4 begins at dawn. Now, this text in itself is true. I mean, it's the first level of Halo 4. However, the connection to this and Halo 4's story is loose at best. It's just one minor character introduced here who does show up in Halo 4. That's really the only connection of the poster. But yeah, just wanted to point that one out too. Now, I don't remember too much of what happened in Nightfall, despite the fact that I just rewatched it like a year ago. But apparently survival is a choice, and I can't remember if that's actually accurate or not. If you remember multiple of the characters having the decision to survive or not, please do let me know. Halo Legends front cover says that it has 7 stories from the heart of the Halo universe, which, despite my criticisms of some of the episodes, there's some really good episodes in Halo Legends, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, at least 2 of the stories in Halo Legends are classified as non-canon even at the time of this releasing. So I don't know if it's really fair to say that they come from the heart of the Halo universe, but then again, heart is kind of a vague term. It's not really a technical definable term for something in a universe, but since we're talking about the extra Halo media like TV shows and movies, I thought it'd be worth bringing up here too. I can't say anything bad about the Halo TV show's marketing because technically all of it's in its own canon and doesn't contradict anything in the lore. I know someone out there was wondering why I'm not talking about the Halo TV show. They get a pass, I guess, for now. Since it's in its own canon, they can't outright lie in the marketing unless they just like showed off something that didn't actually happen in the show. These are just some really interesting and weird things that have happened from the marketing perspective from over the years when it came to Halo, and I think it's interesting to look at these situations just because it's a fun chance not only to talk a little bit about Halo history, but kind of point out some of the more minor little switches or changes, or some of the more drastic ones as well. Let us know what you think of some of these, and I'm sure there's a lot of other examples out there, and maybe we'll cover them in a future video. So if you know of some that we didn't bring up in this video, please do comment it down below, and maybe your suggestion will pop up in our next video. Also, huge shout out to 2Easy, the legendary speedrunner, who helped us out a little bit with picking some of these out for a video. Link to his Twitch channel is down in the description. You can watch him speedrun Halo Reach. Also, I want to hugely, very much so bigly thank our Patreon subscribers for helping support our channel. If you like the content we make here, you have a couple dollars burning a hole in your pocket, you could always pledge them our way. A few dollars go a surprisingly long way with our Patreon setup, and these legends on the screen have really helped support this channel and just help us make content more frequently, more regularly, and more comfortably, where we're not like, hey, how are we gonna pay our bills this week? So thank you so much for all of the support from all of our patrons.